And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome, everyone, to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Sunday, August 31st, 2025. And starting out with the weather-related headlines, we still have some flood warnings continuing along the Koyukuk and Yetna rivers as a result of high water levels from the rainfall, heavy rainfall of this past week. We do have some more rain moving in, especially through the western interior, which is just going to prolong high water on many rivers and creeks as we go through the early and middle part of this week. In the meantime, the Panhandle is going to be baking some late season summer warmth thanks to high pressure, very warm temperatures and dry conditions there. Both northern and southern Panhandle heat advisory has been issued for Tuesday afternoon and early evening. And then yesterday there was an Earth-directed M-class solar flare, and the potential still exists for an X-class flare to pop off as solar activity is quite high. Most areas, though, are under the clouds, but if you have some clearing along the Alcan border or in the Panhandle, keep your eyes peeled. There could be an aurora, if not tonight, more likely tomorrow night. And looking at some of the FAA webcams, so we have Alakakit up there, still high water showing up in the shot, pointed toward the river from the airport. Overcast skies, 57 degrees. Flood warning still in effect there. Talkeetna was under a flood warning that has since expired, but the waters remain very high on the Susitna system, including the Talkeetna and certainly the Yetna River, which crested at a record 22.5 feet Saturday morning. So looking at False Pass, the southern end of the Alaska Peninsula, some rain and fog and then even breezy conditions. Klawock mostly sunny, 70 this afternoon, but Klawock could be up near 80 degrees on Tuesday afternoon. Here is an image that came out of Alakakit on Saturday early evening. Paul Kramer took this using a drone, and you can see the water there within town. The high water was a bit higher a couple days ago, but nevertheless. And then Talkeetna, a friend of mine took this image of some rental cabins along the river there on the west side of town. The water level was actually 2 to 3 feet higher, probably upwards just over these rocks, late Friday evening when the river crested just near major flood stage. So significant flooding event for a number of locations in south central within the Susitna system, as well as along the Koyukuk, Kobuk rivers. And this is the rain forecast for this Sunday, Monday through Tuesday into early Wednesday morning. You can see areas west of Bettles, say Ambler, Shagnuk could pick up another 1 to 3 inches of rain. Also, we find some areas of where you have any sort of terrain enhancement where the rainfall could be heavier. Also, south slopes of the Alaska Range, upper Susitna system could pick up another 1 to 3 inches of rain through early midweek. So again, keep a close eye on things as the stream of moisture comes up out of the North Pacific across the Alaska Peninsula into the southwest and western interior. So we still have flood watch up in effect into early Wednesday for the Noatak, Kobuk, and Koyukuk river basins. This would include Red Dog down to Haisley on over toward Bettles. Rainfall amounts of 1 to 3 inches possible there through pre-dawn Wednesday morning. We still have the flood warning at Haisley and Alakakit on the Koyukuk River, and then a flood advisory for Kobuk on the Kobuk River, and also high water levels will be noted downstream there at Shagnuk and Ambler. And then in south central, we have that flood warning for the Yetna River at and above Lake Creek. Even though the river has crested there, it's still very high within flood stage and will only slowly fall over the next couple of days. And then these are the heat advisories for both Juneau, Skagway, Haines, as well as Craig, Klawock, on over through Ketchikan, Metlakatla, and Hyder. Temperatures Tuesday afternoon, early evening could be in the 75 to 80 degree range thanks to a strong stationary ridge of high pressure, bringing some late summer warmth. And then we have a special weather statement for areas of Bristol Bay, Dillingham, on over toward Togiak could pick up inch or two of rainfall along with breezy conditions as a result of that stream of moisture coming northward and overspreading the southwest and western interior as we head through the early week. The only spot under some higher fire danger remains the upper Tanana Valley. Very high fire danger there around Tok on over toward Northway. And that'll persist through the early portion of this upcoming week for Labor Day and the day after. Temperatures could reach above 70 degrees there just because of being under the influence of that warm ridge of high pressure. So on the satellite imagery, you can kind of see the curvature associated with the mid and upper level ridge that sits right within this region. The high pressure center is here on the surface, but that ridge is what's going to bring the warm temperatures to the Panhandle through a good part of this week. And then there's that stream of moisture coming out of the Pacific, across the Alaska Peninsula, and then up through the southwest interior, especially along the west end of Bristol Bay, and that'll just funnel its way up the Kuskokwim and lower middle Yukon, all the way up to the south slopes here, the Brooks Range, where it'll rain out moderate rainfall to even locally heavy at times. So late tonight into Monday morning, Labor Day, we have low pressure out here in the central Bering, the front that's pushing inland with a band of rain, feeding that moisture, that atmospheric river northward. Here's the high pressure at the surface between the lower Gulf, North Pacific. That's going to provide warm and dry conditions, Panhandle up along the Alcan border and the extreme southwest or southeast mainland interior. And then Monday, Labor Day, we have the low still sitting out here in the central Bering, starting to fill, and we have the occluded front pushing northward while another front works its way slowly eastward with the warm air ahead of it. Any places that get sunshine Monday afternoon, especially say within the Copper River Basin and the Panhandle, will see temperatures quickly shoot above 70 degrees. And then on Tuesday, that front kind of stalls out right along the Gulf Coast, the Kenai Peninsula, down to just south of the Alaska Peninsula. But the Panhandle stays in that warm air, and that's why there's the heat advisory on Tuesday afternoon and early evening for both northern parts of the Panhandle and the southern areas. 75 to 80 degree temperatures very likely. And then we have that rain overspreading further eastward into the central eastern interior on Tuesday, with yet another system coming up from the Pacific that'll bring more rain to the Panhandle, the Alaska Peninsula, Bristol Bay, and then spreading up into south central along the Kenai Peninsula and the west arm of the Alaska Range as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday. You can see that wet system pushing back up into the southwest, so more rain in some of the same areas. And we find mild conditions across southeast mainland along the Gulf Coast. And again, especially Wednesday, shaping up to be another potentially warm day across the Panhandle as a result of the positioning of that warm ridge and the way this system is coming up further west up into the southwest interior. Temperatures Monday morning, it's going to be mild. Everybody's generally above freezing unless you're high in elevation, but normal spots are going to be above freezing, Panhandle as well. And we see temperatures Monday afternoon could be 73 at both Northway and Glen Allen. That upper Copper River Basin could still be quite warm, and we're looking at temperatures could approach 80 in a few southern Panhandle spots, but generally some 70s showing up there at Skagway, Juneau, as well as the southern Panhandle out to the west. It's a bit cooler, highs only in the 50s underneath the cloud cover, and rain across much of the mainland, and then lows pretty uniform across much of the mainland, 40s for the interior. And as we look along the Gulf Coast into the Panhandle, lows generally lower mid-50s. And then temperatures on Tuesday afternoon, 80 degrees there at Craig and Ketchikan, as well as potentially at Juneau. So very warm temperatures, and it could be warmer than that. A few of the normally warm spots above those areas, as you get above sea level, could reach the at least lower 80s. Meanwhile, just uniformly cooler but moist and wet in these regions of the western and central interior, with highs 55 to near 60. And here's the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook that takes us through September 6th through the 10th. As we get past past the first week of September, above normal temperatures centered on the southeast mainland, including the Alcan border, Copper River Basin, east through all of the Panhandle. Near normal temperatures likely along the west coast around Norton Sound, the Seward Peninsula, on up through the Lisburn Peninsula. And then Precipitation, no real change either. Dry conditions continuing across, especially the central southern panhandle. And with these very warm temperatures and drier conditions, certainly the fire danger will have crept upward, as well as stress on some of the spawning fish populations with these warm temperatures persisting. And then out to the west, wet again here across the western interior and places where you don't need additional rainfall. So again, just this is the way the pattern's shaping up. We're going to continue to see moist systems pull moisture into the southwest and western interior as we go through beyond the first week of September.